And now, this newly released presentation allows you to enjoy this classic motion picture for yourself and for what it actually is, a masterful piece of cinematic racist fucking storytelling.
I'm going to say that that's probably on the 1985 VHS release of it.
It is giving so much, just like, even the blacks in it liked it.
You want to know what that warning was? This is so much that energy of, I'm not racist, I have a black friend.
Yes, exactly.
You're back.
Welcome to Cinematix Problematix, where we celebrate your guilty pleasures. I'm Krissie Rettig.
And I am Erin Maxwell.
And today we have the honor of discussing the 1946 film Song of the South, directed by Harve Foster and Wilfred Jackson. The film is based on the Uncle Remus stories by Joel Chandler Harris, who took the stories from actual slaves on a plantation that he worked on between the years 1862 to 1866. The tales themselves revolve around Brer Rabbit, a cunning trickster who is always trying to outsmart Brer Fox and Brer Bear and others, and all of these serve as allegory for the African-American experience, but that's beside the point. The plot of the film, if you want to call it that, is actually about little Johnny and his parents, John and Sally, who go to visit his grandmother on her plantation while his father goes away for reasons that the film doesn't bother to explain. During this time, little Johnny, distraught that his father is left, finds plantation worker, not slave, Uncle Remus, whose stories are celebrated by the several black folk on the plantation that have decided to stay there after the war for some inexplicable reason. As little Johnny befriends Uncle Remus, we see reenactments of Uncle Remus's tales of Brer Rabbit and a combination of live action, animation, and snappy Disney songs. All of this is to say I have no fucking idea what this film is about. The film stars Ruth Warrick as Sally, Hattie McDaniel as Aunt Tempy, Bobby Driscoll as Little Johnny, and Luanna Patton as Ginny, and the film has a runtime of 1 hour and 34 minutes and is somehow still way too long. Erin, tell us a little history lesson.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thanks.
Well, after 1939, Walt wanted to cash in on some of that Gone with the Wind hoopla. So he also kind of needed a hit in a really bad way, because after World War II, the studio did a couple of propaganda films, and they had a couple bombs on their own on their hands. And so they needed a quick cash infusion. And so what happened is that the studio had produced a bunch of bad films and morale was extraordinarily low. So what Walt did is that he purchased the Uncle Remus stories based on the book of folk tales written by Joel Chandler Harris, which he had read as a child and was beloved to him. Harris was a white man who lived on the Georgian plantation and worked as an apprentice before the Civil War. He lived mostly with the black slaves and listened to their stories, and then gathered them all up and published them years later without giving them any credit or cash. The Uncle Remus stories were then a huge commercial success, and they were published into 6 different volumes, which this is what this story was based on. Walt hoped that Song of the South would serve as the big comeback project, blending animation, which was his specialty, and live action, and create a prestige format that would become a technological marvel in which other films would be based. This film is not streamed anywhere. It cannot be purchased by any legitimate Disney store or any legitimate retail store. It is banned. Most copies do not have a warning. At least mine doesn't, because mine is an older copy. And this is because Disney has not released this film on Disney Plus or any other platform due to the racist depictions or harmful stereotypes, particularly the romanticized view of the master-slave relationship that's depicted in this film. However, later copies that were later retracted did have a very lovely warning that was issued in there. Krissie, you happened to jot that down, did you not?
Oh, I did.
Oh, what did this warning read?
Oh my God. Let me tell you. All right. So just a little correction. You can stream this on Internet Archive. There is a copy of it there, and this is how I watched the film.
Oh, yeah. We do encourage you to stream it illegally.
Yes, please.
Yes. Yeah. Go right ahead.
Yeah, go for it. Easily searchable. Even like Google AI told me exactly where it was. Thanks, Google AI. Okay, here's the disclaimer. Human beings were created with a deep yearning for stories and storytelling. Well-told stories help us understand what it means to be human. Joel Chandler Harris, the original author of Uncle Remus, was an abolitionist who collected the amazing African folk tales he had heard from former slaves in the post-war American South. Song of the South is a film adaptation of Harris's work that embraces the historical importance of the storyteller across cultures and economic classes. The film shows us just how vital Uncle Remus, the beloved storyteller, has become to his community. Though the film is often claimed to glorify slavery, it actually depicts neither slaves or slavery. Its story takes place after the war. Also, the Oscar-winning Black performers that appear in Song of the South not only found no offense in it, but were very proud of the work. And now this newly released presentation allows you to enjoy this classic motion picture for yourself and for what it actually is, a masterful piece of cinematic racist fucking storytelling.
I want to say
Sorry,
that's on
like
the...
I added that last part. It's a masterful piece of cinematic storytelling.
I'm going to say that that's probably on the 1985 VHS release of it. That's probably where that came from, maybe.
It is giving so much, just like, even the blacks in it liked it. It's like, oh my God, guys. And they're like, and it's not even slaves. They had to tell you that, though, because you would not, without the disclaimer, you would have no fucking clue that this was taking place after the war.
You want to know what that warning was? This is so much that energy of, I'm not racist, I have a black friend.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's like, even the blacks liked it. It's like, they didn't have a problem. It's like, wow, my God. Okay. This was like in the 1940s too. So, all right.
We recently went back and we watched Gone with the Wind, which we loved. And we understood that it's also problematic, but we were able to look beyond the problems and understand the problems because at the end, it is a very important film and a well-made piece of film. This is not that. No. This is not that at all.
Absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. This is a piece of hot garbage.
No, it's like, to say that it had a plot is just way too generous. Way too generous. Yeah. I came out of this film and I mean, like Erin and I usually talk about like the first time we saw this film. I thought I had seen it. I don't think I had. I think I'd seen clips of it. And I think that this is the first time I actually watched it all the way through end to end. And like 10 minutes before the end, I was like, I have no fucking idea what this movie's even about. Like, what is this? Like, what is it supposed to be doing? Like, I'm sure animated birds with live action was pretty cool back then. I still don't understand how you do that to this day. So good job. But other than that, wow.
Every part of this movie is problematic, from the casting to the writing of it. I mean, even if you remove just the racist parts, the acting is atrocious. The writing is atrocious. Most of the songs are terrible. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I know that there's people out there that really love Zip-a-Dee-Doo-Dah, and it's probably because they went on Splash Mountain 1,000 times. And you know what? I'm really lovely. Good for you.
Well, you know what? Also, that song, and I even love that song. When I like first heard it when I was a kid, I was like, that's a great freaking song. And
I ruined Krissie's day.
And she did. And she will tell you how she did that, like in a little bit. But the song itself isn't in a vacuum. And that's usually how you're hearing it. You're hearing it completely outside of this context, outside of the film. It's a zippy little like Disney song. It's just like, oh, it's so cute. You know, it's like it makes you want to skip and sing and everything because it's about nothing. It's about, like, yay, the sun's out. It's a great day. Yay, let's keep singing Zip-a-Dee-Doo-Dah. And that's it. It doesn't say anything important.
But you completely forgot that this movie is a musical with other songs in it. And those songs are nowhere near as good as that song.
No. No, you're looking for the end of those songs. Like you're looking for, it's like, how long is the song going to be?
Yeah, like Laughing Place. You're like, I don't know about this. And I'm like, this is just.
I wish I could go to my laughing place during this film. But anyways, okay, let's go back. Let's go back a little bit, because you did a good amount of research on this.
Yeah,
let's use that.
And I do want to say that a lot of my research was very much helped by, there's a podcast called You Must Remember This, and it's a series. They did a 6-part series called 6 Degrees of Song of the South. I did a lot of research by listening to that. I also just read a lot about Song of the South. I also own Song of the South in many different formats because my husband and I collect media. We are not horrible people. I want to point that out. We're not terrible, horrible people that just enjoy collecting horrible things.
They're anthropologists of cinema. They even have movie posters from, was it Ghana?
Yes. We have Ghana movie posters. We have movie posters. Somewhere I have Revenge of the Jedi movie poster.
Yeah. I have a Revenge of the Jedi shirt.
Yeah. So we collect a large amount of cinema history. And so you're
like the grandfather that collects like World War II Nazi coins or some shit, right?
We try not to have the Hitler paintings, but yes.
It's like, no, I'm just a collector.
It's for historical. But yeah, we have this like on Laserdisc, and we have this. So we have many different formats of this movie. And with some of them, there is some background with it.
Yeah.
And they're always apologists. But go ahead. What were you going to ask?
No. I just wanted you to go into, because you did like so much great historical research for this. So enlighten the audience a little bit about the context in which this film was born, this bastard child of a film.
So as far as it was born, it was a cash grab. It was very clearly just a cash grab. Walt needed a new project, and he reached into the annals of his childhood in order to kind of find that. And he pulled out this book that he was raised on, which he loved and he cherished, because we kind of know that Walt wasn't the greatest human at all times. He was a dream maker, and he was he made certain dreams come true as far as theme parks and certain movies like Mary Poppins, and in other parts, he just didn't like large groups of people. So take it as you will. Anyway, that being said, a lot of people were against it at the time when this movie was coming out. This movie was not a lot of people can claim, oh, it's a sign of the times. It was just, that's just how things were back then. Not the case. A lot of people were against this movie when it came out, and people were divided. People praised the technical innovation of the animation being mixed with the live action, because it was a precursor to Mary Poppins and Bedknobs and Broomsticks. You didn't really see that at the time, and so people really liked it. But there was, such thing as the NAACP that existed and did not want this movie to be made by any stretch of the imagination, and thought that it perpetuated harmful stereotypes, it romanticized slavery and the Reconstruction at the time, that it was just doing a lot more harm than it was doing good. And Disney marketed the film heavily as a wholesome family entertainment, and that the racial implications were already sparking protests as the film was being made, when the film came out, and then every re-release that it had. Because at the time, Disney would put things in the vault. For those old enough to remember, the Disney Vault system used to be, before there was a streaming service, is that Disney would take all of their precious films every 7 years and re-release them back into theaters, and then would go, quote, into the vault, which meant basically that you wouldn't see it, own it, or buy it for 7 years. And then it would re-release it. And that it would only be available for a certain amount of period, and then you were able to buy it again. And we all kind of remember that. And this happened to this movie 4 times. Mm-hmm. And every single time it came out, it, again, sparked protest.
Yeah, and I think that if you go back a little bit further to, like, when you look at the author himself, so I think I mentioned this like in the intro a little bit, but he did work on a plantation, and he was like this young Irish kid, and he felt very, much like an other too. He didn't feel like he quite belonged. And so he would go and hang out with slaves, and he would hear these stories. And that's where he got these stories from. He got these Uncle Remus stories directly from Black slaves who brought over kind of like the African oral tradition, like when they were brought over as slaves. And that is part of kind of like what kept them going, where like the passing down of these stories, where Brer Rabbit is kind of like a stand-in for the slave, and the wolf the fox being like the oppressor. And he recorded these stories. Part of the reason that they were so offensive is that he recorded these stories in what he perceived as like the Black dialect, and phonetically spelled it out in his books, and it is almost unreadable. Okay. It is so exaggerated. It's like, it is nothing like anything I've ever read in any other book.
I just tell you that both of our minds were blown when we found out that Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, and Brer Bear was shorthand for brother?
I thought it was Briar, because there's a Briar patch.
I thought it was Briar too, my entire life. And if you thought it was Briar, join the club.
And it's spelled BR apostrophe ER. And so I'm thinking it's just like a phonetic shorthand for Briar this entire time, because even in the movie, they were like, where's Briar Rabbit's Briar Patch? And it's like, he's like, I don't know where it is. And it's like, okay, so it's Briar, but it's not. It's brother.
It's brother. It's Brother Bear, Brother Rabbit, and Brother Fox.
Yeah. And like later on, I think that Zora Neale Hurston, who went back to the Uncle Remus stories and like corrected some of that stuff and like how it was actually supposed to sound. That's something that I definitely read on the interwebs. But yeah, at the time it was like this white man translating this dialect as he perceived it and just butchering the fuck out of it in the process. It's pretty bad. So that was part of the concern, I think, from the NAACP at the time.
There was also to kind of do your own research on this. I highly recommend doing research at the time when this film was re-released in 1972, when this film came out at the height of the blaxploitation movement, because there was this huge culture
irony
that came out when this movie was re-released in theaters, right up against kind of Dolomite and and it was just this beautiful culture clash that occurred, and everybody kind of lost their shit at the same time. But because what was happening is Black voices at that time were kind of finding authority, and then they were also just finding and the juxtaposition of the two genres really pointed out how bad and how harmful this film was. But I can go on to it for days, but I just highly recommend you just that one moment in time in history was just so fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know when that disclaimer, the one that I read came out, it must have been during one of the re-releases or something like that.
It had to be, because it had to be either when it was on home release.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking is when it first appeared on VHS.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's I read that disclaimer.
And mine didn't have it because I have a Japanese Blu-ray.
Okay.
And there's none of the cultural sensitivities in Japan. That's why they still have also the original Splash Mountain.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And I think in Singapore they have a Splash Mountain land.
Right. Okay. All right. So
it may not be Singapore. I don't know exactly because I haven't done my research on this, but somewhere there is a Splash Mountain land.
Yeah. I mean, we can definitely discuss whether or not that, as a film, I feel like it should be available.
Sure.
It's the way that you and I think we probably see it in the exact same way, is that it's a snapshot in time, right? It is a time capsule, and it kind of just shows you where we were. And I think it's important to see where we were, as a country and as where movies were as an art form back then, because it was a depiction of the time,
Disney's just deeply ashamed of this, and they want to hide their shame, and
I get it,
but they should just own up to it and say, hey, you know what? We made a horrible mistake.
Or maybe they just don't want to admit how bad it is. I mean, because look at Gone with the Wind, for example, right? We still have access to that. I know that Warner Brothers, they pulled it down off of HBO for a while, but it's now up, and they do this really, they do a full on, look, this is why this movie exists. They talk about the whole slavery thing. They talk about, it's massive trigger warning, it is the trigger warning of trigger warnings. And we still have access to it, right? And I think that is the right way to go about it. It's leave the film fucking alone. Don't change anything, but just contextualize it for people so that we understand what it's trying to say and how different that is from what we believe now, at least most of us.
I think that's 100% correct. I think also Disney is deeply ashamed by everything in this film.
It should be.
And it should be. Let's get into that.
Let's get into it. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about the quote unquote plot of this film. There's not a ton of plot, right? It's essentially a little boy goes to visit his grandma on a plantation. There's a whole bunch of people who are not slaves there. By the way, the reason they had to put this disclaimer on there, you cannot tell that this is not the antebellum South. If they did not have that description, it looks like there's just a bunch of slaves living on this plantation, and there's this guy, Uncle Remus, who tells all these stories, and they're singing and all this stuff. And it looks like they're fully in pre-war South. It looks very Gone with the Windy. So they needed that in the beginning. But apparently this is supposed to be in post-war. There's a whole bunch of slaves, or black people, black workers, I guess, living on the plantation. And Uncle Remus is kind of this exalted figure there who is known for these amazing stories that everybody just kind of circles around him and they tell him. And so little Johnny wants to run away because Daddy's not around anymore.
Unclear why Daddy's not around anymore.
Unclear. They never explain this.
We sat on the couch and tried to figure it out for a strong 20 minutes.
Was it a divorce? Was it a separation?
It can't be a divorce because that would be worse than anything else in the South.
Yeah.
Did he had to go away for work?
Yeah, we saw all the Gilded Age. We know how it works.
Yeah. We couldn't figure it out.
Did somebody cheat on somebody? Because I heard that's the only way you can get a divorce. But I don't know. Like, we don't know why Daddy goes away. Like, I was like, maybe he had a conference that lasted several weeks. I have no idea. If you're going by horse and buggy, great excuse.
It just seemed like Dad had to go away. End of story.
And so now little Johnny has, I mean, he's still on the property, so it's not all dire or whatever, but it seems like it. He finds Uncle Remus, and Uncle Remus kind of befriends him, gets him to like not run away, and then starts telling him these stories. And one of the first stories he tells is about Brer Rabbit and the fox. And the rabbit gets stuck in the trap that was laid out by the fox, and the bear comes lumbering down.
And to be clear, each of the Brother Bear, Brother Rabbit, and Brother Fox caricatures are also caricatures of, there are also stereotypes within themselves.
Yeah. So when I was watching this, once again, this was like my first time watching it all the way through, I'm pretty sure, because I don't remember a thing about any of this. But when I was watching this whole story unfold, it seemed like the rabbit was supposed to be a slave, and the fox was supposed to be either a slave master or a slave catcher. And then the bear, I was very confused about, because I was just like, he's portrayed as being very dim, very slow, very lazy, very lumbering, and not very smart.
So my takeaway is that Brer Rabbit is supposed to be the trickster character, which is, so that's the trickster character that often comes from like African American or African literature that you see kind of often. You may be right about the fox. Fox is more like either master or boss or the boss man kind of character. And then the bear, we were talking about this earlier, there used to be a character actor or comedian in the 1920s called Step and Fetch It. And he kind of borrowed from that same stereotype. And while the two are not related, like I don't think this was a caricature of Step and Fetch It. I think the two borrowed from the same stereotype of kind of like the slow, dim-witted kind of like that character, which were all very harmful characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so all of these are kind of like allegories for the African American or slave experience. It's like the rabbit kind of like represented like this way of the soft resistance to your oppressor, right? But the movie, it kind of just leaves it up to you to kind of decide what that means. If you're a kid, if you're watching a Disney movie and you're like a child watching this story, you're like, oh, the rabbit got caught in the fall. You don't get like the deeper meaning of this, which kind of like takes away like a lot of the meaning of these stories and the importance and the value of them or what they're supposed to be, right?
Right.
So it like the film does it a disservice by just kind of like dropping in these animated stories and just leaving them there. You know, and like no kid is going to understand this.
So you're supposed to like learn lessons, but there's not lessons to be learned other than how to trick people and get out of work. And they're fun stories, I guess, but they're not what you would call life lessons. In the meantime, the story of what's going on with Johnny is going on around it, but that's not really a story either, where Johnny kind of gets a dog and he's getting bullied and then he loses the dog. And
he befriends a little girl who's adorable, little Ginny.
Then his mom throws a party for him. His mom seems to be kind of out of whack, where she's like, he doesn't need friends. He has his mother and his grandmother.
And she doesn't want him listening to any more Uncle Remus stories because of the whole dog fiasco and like keeping the dog when he wasn't supposed to keep the dog, but he tricked the boys into letting them keep the dog and get it. It was like, who cares about this fucking dog? Like, it was just the most random
woman is so
story.
goddamn out of touch. Like a boy just has his mother. It's like, great, you're raising fucking Norman Bates. Like, what is wrong with you, lady? Like,
exactly.
You don't want this person to have any friends. Like, the only redeeming characters in this movie really is the little girl.
The little girl, well, Toby, little boy.
Sure.
Toby's good. We like Toby.
Oh, yeah, Toby was fine. Toby was cute.
We like Toby. He was adorable. He was just catching frogs for his new friend.
Yeah, sure.
You know? I'm sorry.
Everybody else, listen, Bobby Driscoll, and if you, again, another like internet hole you can fall down is whatever happened to Bobby Driscoll. He's not the great kid actor. Mm-hmm. He's not like the Haley Joel Osment of his day. You know, he's
adorable. I mean, he was cute.
He knew his lines.
He did his best with the role that
he
they
did
put
the
in front
bare
of him.
minimum.
Yeah, I mean, he's fine. You mean the Brer minimum?
The brother minimum.
Sorry. It was right there.
You're done for the day.
I apologize.
You're done.
I'm sorry. Okay. The rest of the film, it's like kind of devoid of plot, and it's just punctuated by like these, I think, 3 different animated segments, right?
Yeah.
Aside from the Zip-a-Dee-Doo-Dah song, there were like 3 different rabbit, fox, bear tales or something. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the second one, Erin?
No, I don't. Absolutely not.
Do you want me
I
to-
don't even want to like broach
Here,
it.
how about this? I'll say it. I'm just gonna say the word, and then I'm gonna wave my magical wand, and then you can say the word. You can say the term. Okay. So the second the second tale involves the fox trying to catch the rabbit, and the way that he decides to catch the rabbit is to create a baby made out of tar, which, you guessed it, is the origins of the tar baby. So there is some history here, and Erin, please jump in. I'll kick us off though. So when I first was looking up the origins of this term, I was trying to see if it came from here or if it existed before. And all I could find was that once this movie happened, is that this term took on a life of its own, and it was used in a very derogatory way, obviously towards Black people. Now, Erin, what did you see in the book?
So I too, listen, because of this movie, the term gained in popularity as a huge slur, right? So I didn't know if tar babies, like if this was a term that existed before, or like if there's a history, if there was something, like if this was anything, like I just didn't know anything about this. So I'm like, well, I know that this is a page from the book, so let me look at the book and see what this looked like. That was a mistake. That was a huge mistake. The picture in the book is 1,000 times worse because they toned down the original story, what that image looked, which I wrote down is portrayed as the humanizing image of Blackness.
Yes.
And that was a term I read and looked, and so I just jotted that down. I'm like, nope, that's a perfect example of what I saw on that page.
So if you've ever seen like any like anti-Black propaganda and stuff from like the, after like the Civil War, or like the exaggerated features that you start to see like in posters for minstrel shows, things like that.
Yeah.
It's probably like that.
It's kind of like that.
And in the film, it's just like a tar blob. It's a small humanoid tar blob that kind of avoids like the more distinct features that became typical of those caricatures. In the book,
you see it more from the side, but it's clearly meant to be a Black man.
Right.
And so it's just not great.
Oh God. Well, no. And like when you think about it, when you realize that the baby is supposed to be like a Black child, it becomes even darker, because if the rabbit is supposed to be a representation of kind of like the slave who, engages in kind of like these subtle arts of trickery or resistance, or whatever, the fox is using a Black baby to lure the rabbit in to trap him. That's really fucked up.
And in the book, though, it's meant to look like an adult human. Like it has fully grown limbs.
But it's still called tar baby, though,
It
right?
is. That's why I was confused by the term.
Yeah.
So I personally just couldn't find any history about
where this came from
as far as why you would create this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's really great. I mean, like if you dig like a little bit deeper even into the meaning, and maybe this isn't what he meant or what the stories mean, but this is something I took away from it when I was watching. I was like, or in retrospect to after when I watched it, was, families got separated all the time. And so like you're using like this Black baby to like lure people to trap them. It's just, it just made it, as an adult who's aware of that history, that made it a little bit worse, even though it was already pretty bad. Like when I saw the tar baby being made on the film, I was like, wow, guys, holy shit. It was like, I was laughing because of just how terrible it was, because I cannot believe they actually went there. But it was the 40s, so I guess it wasn't that out of line.
There's many points in this film where I had to like walk away. And with that, let's get into the sins, shall we?
We haven't been there already? I mean, I feel like we're like 3/4 of the way through the sins.
Jesus. I feel like we need to talk about Uncle Remus.
Let's talk about Uncle Remus.
Listen, Uncle Remus is, I feel like all of his self-worth is tied to that small white boy. And that made me really, like, there isn't much depth to him as a character other than the fact that his entire self-worth is tied to this one white family. And that made my heart hurt. So when he's talked down to by Sally, and there's that whole situation where there's like patronizing racism and like just racial condescension, was like, I think you should stop telling those stories to Johnny, or I think it's time for you to go. And she's essentially saying, like, and he's so sad because like he even says like he's never left this plantation his entire life. This is probably where he was born and raised. And now he has to leave. What is he going to do? He's doesn't know life outside of this plantation. She's basically condemning him to death.
Well, it's just so weird too, because like there is simultaneously like this familiarity, right? Like he's part of the family, like he's been around forever, they know him, they talk very casually to him, you know, there's like not a lot of formality to it, but at the same time there's like this implicit recognition of like inferiority too. It's just like, yeah, you're here, I can talk to you like a person, but fucking do what I say, right? And so it was always just like this weird dynamic that they really pushed back in this time period that showed, yeah, they were part of the family, but you still had to do what you were told. And that is just not the way that it usually works.
In the beginning of the film, they talk with him about him with like almost this reverence. Like they're like, oh, yes. And they're like, and watch me take away your home just like that because I don't like the stories that you're telling my son.
It's interesting because it's like he did have a little bit of self-worth, because like the first time that we meet him, he's surrounded by a whole bunch of other Black people. He's telling these stories and they're singing and all that stuff. And everybody seems to think really highly of him. But the minute that Sally scolds him like a small child, he's, oh, I can't do anything right. Uncle Remus is like, he talks to himself in the third person. He gets really down on himself. He's like, I can't do anything right. Uncle Remus's life is wasted. It's all like, oh, Uncle Remus, you're much better than this. Sally's a bitch. Yeah, it's like the kid doesn't have a father figure. He finds something similar in Uncle Remus, somebody he can look up to, who protects him, who keeps him from getting into trouble, who teaches him morality and life lessons. She's like, fuck you, dude. Get off my property. She doesn't say that. But, I mean, she basically tells him to get away from her son, and then he decides to leave.
Yeah, and, like, he's just devastated by her. So, I mean, that almost made my stomach turn. Like, I just thought that was disgusting in a way, and it was just badly written.
Well, in reality, I'm sure it would have been much, much, much worse.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, but this is like the whole thing. It's just like they keep on treating it as like these somewhat innocuous like infractions, you know, and like this kind of, I mean, she wasn't yelling at him. She wasn't beating him or anything. She was just like, I think it's time for you to leave my son alone, you know, or some shit, you know, and that's the way that they handled it. But we all know that this is definitely whitewashing, definitely sugarcoating the way that those interactions would have gone back then. And to that point, Uncle Remus probably would have known better not to get involved with this kid who keeps getting him into trouble. Fuck. Yeah. I mean, I know that little Johnny didn't mean anything by it, but at a certain point, he probably would have been like, go back home, go to your mom. You're going to get me in trouble.
You see that little white boy come to your house, you fucking hide, Uncle Remus. You duck down and you pretend that you ain't home.
It's like, Uncle Remus isn't home. I see your fires lit, Mr. Remus. Go away.
Go away.
You're going to get me killed. Yeah. So that part isn't great. And what happens next is, okay, so we had the first tale. We had boy gets the dog, boy loses the dog. Uncle Remus gets into trouble by telling the stories and stuff. And then there's a tragic accident. A tragic bull ramming accident.
Bull accident. Well, I feel like you couldn't make it too much like Gone with the Wind. Like they can't, we can't have him falling off a horse because that would be too much like Gone with the Wind.
So we're gonna ram him with a bull.
So we're gonna get him with a bull.
So okay,
he's like, great.
So imagine the scene. Uncle Remus is like, he's gonna leave. He's leaving. He's on a wagon. He's leaving with all of his things, and the boy's like, "No, Uncle Remus!" And like he like runs after him, and as he's running after him, I'm sorry, but this part just had me. It's not, children being harmed isn't funny. Disclaimer, but this was fucking hilarious.
I mean, I read Stephen King all the time. I'm just used to kids getting mowed down. I think it's hilarious.
So Uncle Remus is leaving. And the boy's running across the field in the bull that we see in the beginning of the film.
Hey, it's
Chekhov's bull.
Yeah, Chekhov's bull.
It's Chekhov's
You
bull.
don't show a bull in the first act if you don't intend to use it for the
And
third.
boy, did they ever use that bull. So little Johnny's running across the field to go catch the carriage. And the bull is like charging towards him, and they keep cutting back and forth.
And then you only
between
see
them.
like the mom's reaction of horror. Like,
Everyone's like, no. And then finally it's like, whoopah, the bull gets the boy. And then he's in a coma, and they call Dad back. Dad comes to come and see his son who's been
rammed by a bull.
rammed by the bull. And the kid, he's like, Uncle Remus, where are you, Uncle Remus? As he's like in his coma and like swaying back and forth and stuff. And, you know, Uncle Remus obviously doesn't leave because this little kid just got hit. So he's like waiting around to make sure he's okay. Kid winds up being okay. Dad comes back, blah, 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 blah. And they all step off into the sunset.
The end.
That's the end.
Oh, and then you find out that like all of Remus's stories were actually true.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Obviously. Her rabbit ends up being like a real live like rabbit, and he comes out and he talks to the kids, and now all of them need therapy. The end.
Yeah.
The end.
Oh, you want to know one thing? Okay, one thing that we did not touch upon.
Yeah.
Hattie McDaniel.
Yes, please.
Okay, so we did watch Gone with the Wind, and we talked about how she was kind of like this groundbreaking figure for African-American actors back then. She won the first Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for Gone with the Wind playing Mammy. So you start watching this movie, and there's another Mammy character. You're like, oh my God, it looks so much like Hattie McDaniel. And it is Hattie McDaniel. So Hattie McDaniel was once again playing a Mammy character, kind of like the feisty, kind of like motherly, you know, stern figure, you know, like in the house and everything. But her name is Aunt Tempy in this. And it just kind of goes to show like how typecast and how limited the roles were for Black people back then. Because she played mainly domestic work. She made over 300 films. 300. And in the two that we happen to watch back to back, Hattie McDaniel is playing the same exact freaking character. And it was interesting. And this is like just another example of like how these stereotypes got perpetuated in films back then. It was like you could not shake this image loose, even though it wasn't really like a accurate image of like a female maid or something that lived in the house. They were usually younger and usually got sexually assaulted by their masters. But so Mammy appears again, and it was interesting because the NAACP did not want this movie to be made, just as they did not want Gone with the Wind to be made. And Hattie McDaniel got a lot of flack from the head of the NAACP. His name is Walter White. Not Breaking Bad Walter White. He did not make any meth that I know of. He was very critical of her, saying that she was kind of like perpetuating these stereotypes and not helping anything. And she... you know, she stayed out of politics. She did not go to protest. She was not part of any Black actors unions or anything like that. She stayed out of it, and she just kept on taking these roles. And there's kind of like an ongoing debate about, you know, whether or not people in this position should take roles like this if they perpetuate stereotypes. I think that you'd have to look at a lot of movies from the 80s, you know, and like look at like some of the actors that took those parts and ask them the same question. It's like, at what point do you wait for perfection? And she wasn't waiting for it, you know? And so I think that she was still a trailblazer. I don't necessarily like that she didn't participate in some of the protests or like some of like the Black actors unions or anything like that. But I also would probably think that she did that to protect herself and to ensure that she could keep working. And part of progress, like I suppose, is just being seen in any form, you know, even if it's an imperfect one, because that will often lead to progress down the road, even though it's a lot slower and not the way that we would like. So, yeah, just a note about that. I mean, Hattie McDaniel basically reprising her role from Gone with the Wind in this, in a much, you know, much less screen time, but still, you know, a very important figure for Black actors back then.
And she does a good job in the film, for what it is.
Yeah.
And it's still 1946. Roles were not readily available. We're still 10 to 15 years out from the really good roles that you're probably going to see with Sidney Poitier and Dorothy Dandridge that are coming out later on.
Yeah.
So probably even 5 years or, you know, 7 years out from that. So I'm not going to fault her for wanting to eat and feed and pay for the things for her family.
No, I mean, and I think that at the end of the day too, it's just like there's the recognition that you have to start somewhere, and that somewhere most likely if you're one of the first people to do it, is not going to be a perfect place. It's just not. Like, these things don't happen. Like, progress doesn't happen all at once. Right. Yeah. It's like you have to chip away at it very, very, very slowly. And, and she helped do that. And she helped create a path for people after her, even though she was playing the same role for decades. So, yeah.
And she's accomplished a lot more in what she did than most other actors and actresses can ever do.
Yeah.
So she deserves her recognition.
Yeah, little tip of the hat to Hattie McDaniel. And that goes back to kind of like the disclaimer that I was reading in the very beginning too, like where they were saying like even the Academy Award winning actors love this movie. It's like she stayed out of the more political aspects of Black empowerment at the time, and she did it very implicitly, I think.
I think she liked to work.
Yeah.
And I have nothing but respect for that.
Yeah. You can't blame her for it.
Nope.
So tip of the hat to Miss McDaniel once again.
Yes. All right. So final thoughts on this.
Did you want to talk about any other lasting legacies?
No. I did not.
I'll say it. How about this? I'll say the term, and then you can back me up.
Well, we'll do it for a little bit. Krissie likes to make me uncomfortable because we were talking before this podcast.
Why else do you think I'm doing this fucking podcast? It's to make people uncomfortable and make myself feel better.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
All right. So
very briefly.
Yes.
Do you want to kick it off? Do you want to say you were going to say in the beginning?
Uncle Remus is the beginning of a beautiful film tradition that we go to. Say it, Krissie.
The magical Negro. Yes. Erin didn't want to say it. She was trying to avoid it. But it's very important. It's very important. This is a very important film to discuss this because this is going to pop up a lot.
It really does. And it's just a bizarre Hollywood trope that, for whatever reason, captured the imagination of Hollywood execs everywhere and Stephen King.
Yeah. Loves it.
Loves it.
Loves it.
Like, let's face it, in 3 of his stories, we got John Coffey, we got Dick Halloran, and we got Mother Abigail. They're on top of that Bagger Vance, which is not Stephen King, but that's just
like magical Negro golfing buddy
movie.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. But again, it's just a bizarre Hollywood trope. This is, if there's an earlier example, I don't know what it is, but Uncle Remus to me seems like it's the first one.
I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. I could do like a little bit more research, but it was a very early version of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just a bizarre Hollywood trope. Key and Peele did an amazing skit where it was the battling magical Negroes that are in the office where they're like just dueling each other in a wizard battle.
Oh, man. But yeah, I mean, this goes back to kind of like this weird, kind of almost glorified stereotype of like this Black person who just comes in with wisdom and solves your problems and helps you overcome adversity and stuff. It's like, it's almost very weird.
You can only take his wisdom because he has magical powers.
Right.
And it's like, it's not just like because he has like years of experience or that person might be very intelligent or smart. It's like, no, it's also because they can make birds sing and they have access to like other dimensions and like.
They can summon animated animals just with song.
With song, yes.
That's magic. Right?
Apparently, yes. So hats off for creating one of the most bizarre Hollywood tropes.
Oh, well, I'm sure we'll revisit it again.
Oh God,
not anytime soon. We're going to take a break. we're gonna take a step back from the post-war South for a little bit. Maybe, I don't know. This is really fun, Erin.
Can't we just go back to sexism for a bit?
We're going to go back to sexism and, sexual assault and, child exploitation.
Maybe some homophobia.
Some homophobia. Oh yeah, we've totally skipped out on the homophobia. We need to get back into that.
Yeah.
Okay. There's so many topics for us to cover. So yeah, you won't have to say magical Negro.
Thank God.
In the next couple of episodes.
So to sum it up, this is a bad movie. It's
wait, chuck or cherish, Erin?
Oh yeah, no, we're fucking chucking this.
Chucking this into the fucking atmosphere.
Bad movie without charm. It's without artistry. It's without no redeeming sparks whatsoever. Maybe the songs are good. Sure, it's a technical advancement.
The kids are cute.
It's fine, but it's not campy. It's not fun. No. You don't want to rewatch it.
It's completely not self-aware at all. It's like, it is just, I don't even know what it's
insulting. It's insulting. Grating.
Yes. And the story sucks. I don't fault Disney for keeping this movie away from people but not because of the racism, just because it's terrible. I wish that, more people would do that. But yeah, I mean, they're keeping it from us for the wrong reasons. I think that they should let people see it and just see how bad it was, because it's shocking. It's like, I was watching this movie and just out of my mind with how bad it was. It was pretty. Thank God it's only 90 minutes long, because I don't think I could have taken much more of it. Yeah.
They should add to the disclaimer, and we're sorry that this movie is without charm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, but Zip-a-Dee-Doo-Dah is kind of cool. Like, if you just know that song without its questionable origins.
We forgot to talk about the questionable origins. So there is a theory that this song did derive from a minstrel song, which I'm not going to say the name.
Do you want me to say it?
No.
Zip-Coon.
God damn it. So
you should never have told me.
Yeah.
I can say it. You can't. That's why I'm here.
Whether or not that is true, it's hard to kind of pinpoint whether or not that is accurate, but there's a lot of theories out there that is definitely the case. Mm-hmm. Feel free to do your own research. Knock yourself
Look out. Just Google
Send me hate mail.
Jim Crow Zip-Coon.
Yeah.
All right.
Go right ahead.
Yeah,
knock yourself out. Enjoy. Keep that in mind next time you go and enjoy a fucking theme park.
But don't tell Erin about it, because she needs a break.
Yeah.
She needs a break from talking about this stuff.
I'm tired.
I've had to say words for her. This is not good.
I'm so tired, man.
You can see it in her face. Okay, so final verdict is check this fucker as far away from us as possible. Kids are cute. Zip-a-Dee-Doo-Dah. If you forget about the origins of the song, it's kind of a cool song. And that's about it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Disney. Okay, so that's it for me. I mean, watch this movie at your friggin' peril. Get stoned out of your mind before you do it. That's all I got.
I mean, this isn't a fun watch with a group. So if you want to watch it because you're curious, knock yourself out. If you think that this is going to be a fun watch with a group of friends, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Unless you're incredibly
Bed knobs and broomsticks is the better way to go. And even that is kind of boring, but the animation parts are cool. So anyway.
All right. This is us signing off.
Yeah.
Until next time. Thanks for joining.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.